If there's ever a team that's reluctant to go win now in the future, I really do hope that it's the Brooklyn Nets. Now, twice in the past decade, the Brooklyn Nets have been faced with absolute disaster. Everything that they've worked for, everything that they've built up, is now being torn apart. And I guess you could say that it's been being torn apart for a while now. While I do feel bad for Brooklyn and its fans, it's almost impossible to feel too bad because this is a team that kind of enabled this whole situation. A few days ago, Kyrie Irving opted into the final year of his contract for $36.5 million. When Kyrie Irving did this, I didn't necessarily think that it would be an end to all of the Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant stuff, but I thought we would at least get a small break, and boy was I absolutely wrong. 3 days ago, Woj would report that the uncertainty surrounding Kyrie Irving's future with the Nets continues to leave the franchise vulnerable to a Kevin Durant trade request. Durant has 4 years left on his contract and remained an advocate for the Nets to commit to a long-term deal for Irving. Numerous teams around the league are preparing to pursue Durant, one of the elite players in this sport, if he becomes available. Now, mind you, that was 3 days ago. The warning signs were there. Today, it would be reported that Brooklyn Nets GM Sean Marks is working with Kevin Durant and his business manager on finding a trade for the franchise superstar. Kevin Durant's business manager tells ESPN. Now, mind you, this isn't just coming from anybody. This is coming straight from Kevin Durant's business manager. For KD's business manager to tell Woj that they want out, they simply had to reach a breaking point with the Brooklyn Nets where they just had enough. Hey, you don't want to pay my guy? We came here together. This was always going to be the plan. Well, I guess it's time for me to demand a trade. I understand the Brooklyn Nets wanting to put their foot down, but at this point, most of the damage is already done. I was about to say I understand their reluctance to pay Kyrie Irving and I would have just paid him, but then again, what's stopping Kyrie Irving from getting paid and then Kevin Durant demanding this same trade a year from now? A lot of the times we see trades demanded, we see it happening with 1 or 2 years left on a contract. We don't usually see it happening with 3 or 4 years left on a contract, which is the situation with Kevin Durant right now. Now, before I continue with the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving stuff, I just want to add in that in the midst of all of this, Woj also reported that the Nets are acquiring the Jazz's Royce O'Neal in a trade for a 2023 first-round pick. If there's anything that I'm confused about right now, it's Royce O'Neal going to the Brooklyn Nets for a first-round pick. For one, just to me, in my opinion, a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal feels like a bit of an overpay. On top of that, the timing is incredibly weird. In my head, there's no way that the Nets couldn't foresee this whole scenario coming. As a matter of fact, it's been reported that the Nets have been preparing for this coming scenario for weeks. Now, as we move past the Royce O'Neal trade, we have another report from Woj, who said that as the Nets prepare to move one of the most valuable trade assets ever on the trade market, the entire roster will be available to discuss in deals. Teams have been calling on Durant, and the Nets will certainly look for a historic return on players and draft picks. Now, while this situation sucks for Brooklyn in almost every way possible, the good news is that you're going to be getting back a monstrous haul for Kevin Durant. I've said it a few times this video, and I'm going to continue to say it. It's not all of the time that we see players like Kevin Durant on the trade market. As of late, the trade market has had no shortage of good players. Well, Kevin Durant is a great player. He's one of the best small forwards to ever play the game of basketball, regardless of if you like him or not. We're talking about somebody at 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", that has a unique ability that not many people his size have. Recently, Kevin Durant tweeted out that it's a wings league, and I could not agree with him more. That's the direction that the NBA has been trending. The Golden State Warriors traded D'Angelo Russell and wanted to get longer for a reason. Now, according to Woj, the Brooklyn Nets aren't going to play any games when it comes to Kevin Durant. The idea is to get all-star players and all the available picks from teams. For Brooklyn, the leverage they have is the contract status of Kevin Durant, like we said earlier. Because he's under contract for 4 years, he has very little leverage on where he can go, meaning that we're going to see a bunch of teams interested, even if they're not listed as a desired destination initially. Now, we're going to talk about the desired destinations in a second, but not without talking about Kyrie Irving first. According to Woj, there's not a great appetite for Kyrie, but that doesn't mean there's nobody who will take him. Woj says there are some teams who will do it, but when compared to Kevin Durant, there's only a fraction of teams interested. Now apparently Phoenix and Miami are two teams that Kevin Durant has on his wish list, but according to Woj, they're not exactly looking to cater to Kevin Durant's wants in this situation. They're just hunting for the best deal possible. If the best deal possible comes from where he wants to go, then he'll probably go to that destination. Already I've seen rumblings that the Brooklyn Nets are likely to request Bam Adebayo or Devin Booker in a potential Kevin Durant trade. Now when it comes to Bam Adebayo, he actually doesn't make sense at this time. According to Bobby Marks, the Nets aren't allowed to acquire a player like Bam from the Miami Heat because of the designated rookie extension rule. Apparently you can't have two players that were acquired via trade who were signed to that type of extension. Bear in mind that Brooklyn already has Ben Simmons. Now of course there are other hypothetical ways that the Miami Heat could acquire Kevin Durant, but if they were to get Kevin Durant at this time, Bam Adebayo being included in any trade wouldn't exactly be the most likely situation. When it comes to Phoenix potentially acquiring Kevin Durant, as we stated earlier, it appears that Devin Booker would have to be involved in the deal. A lot of people have speculated that DeAndre Ayton would be the selling point for a Kevin Durant deal, and as much as I love DeAndre Ayton, the Nets weren't really feeling DeAndre Ayton in a sign and trade scenario. Cap issues and Ayton's help aside. Now while Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both want to trade, they would like to continue to play together. In order for them to continue to play together, they would both have to be wanted by the same team. They want to hoop together, just not in Brooklyn. Windhorst thinks that the Los Angeles Clippers are a team to keep an eye out for when it comes to Kyrie Irving. Ty Lue coached Kyrie in Cleveland, and even though they left on bad terms, apparently all of that is behind them now. Now while Windhorst is saying to watch out for the Los Angeles Clippers, Stephen A is saying that Kyrie is telling everybody that he plans on going to the Los Angeles Lakers as soon as he possibly can.
There will be no seeing them in the fall. Kyrie Irving is out of town as fast as he possibly can, and he is focused, as Stephen A said, on forcing himself to the LA Lakers. In talking to league executives over the last couple hours, the value of Kyrie Irving in a trade has absolutely plummeted. They know that he's going to be a pure rental.
When he becomes a free agent after the season is over, whenever he can join LeBron James in a Lakers uniform, he plans on doing it. According to Windhorst, the Lakers are still trying to acquire Kyrie Irving on a deal centered around Russell Westbrook. Is this a bad time to bring up that Jake L. Fisher reported that Kyrie Irving was definitely considering taking the taxpayer mid-level exception to play for the Lakers before he opted in? If you were the Los Angeles Lakers and saw that Kyrie Irving was available, in the comments below, let me know what you would be willing to offer. Also, let me know what you would be willing to offer for both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Because according to Windhorst, it has been floated around by executives that were they to be kept together, the Lakers would potentially have a package that they could trade for both of them.
I'm so much loath to say it.
I can't. Don't
that
do
if
it.
they were be kept together, that the Lakers would potentially have a package that you could trade for both of them.
Let's go,
Richard. But we don't know. It's too fragile. It's too fragile because we just don't know where KD and Kyrie are if they're still interested in together. But it would take, after seeing what happened when they were together, almost no team with options would do it. But the Lakers don't have options. So that's the only place I heard it was possible.
Guys, all I'm going to say is prepare yourselves right now, because there's a good chance that these rumors are going to get a whole lot worse before they get any better. I'm actually going to look so bad if the Lakers do find a way to trade for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. As a matter of fact, it'll probably happen because I'm so sure that it won't. At this point, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, if you just get Kyrie Irving, which I think is completely reasonable, you're winning, and there's no other way to put it. I have this weird feeling that if Kyrie plays with LeBron James in Los Angeles, especially in a contract year, that he's going to buy in and he's going to do all of the things that people thought that he wouldn't. With Kyrie Irving, the questions have never been surrounding his talent. The Los Angeles Lakers know that, LeBron James knows that, and it seems like they're willing to invest in the upside. I mean, we've seen what this duo can do before. But even as I say this, the Los Angeles Lakers, still have a lot of moves to make, even after their good start to free agency. Now, as I said earlier, as this Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving stuff carries on, we're going to see more and more interesting rumors, like this rumor that the Boston Celtics are interested in Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant in Boston would be amazing, but only if the price is right. It sounds kind of absurd to say that, but what would a Kevin Durant trade even look like for the Boston Celtics? The Nets made it pretty clear that if you want to acquire Kevin Durant, then you're going to have to give up pretty much everything that you have. Let me know what you guys think of everything going on down in the comments below, and also let me know what team you'd most like to see Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GETLIKECOOP, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.